Hi, thanks for stopping by Nfina Technologies. Today I'm going to give you a quick demo of our planned failover functionality that's built into Nfina-View, which is a monitoring management software we have for our storage systems here at Nfina. What you see here is a couple of nodes in this edge cloud hosting cluster. The storage cluster here has these volumes on it that are listed under ZVols. As far as this failover test is concerned, this particular test volume is what I'm going to focus on. It's running these 5 virtual machines on this volume, which you can see here within vCenter on the left. So failover test 1 through 4 and space test and all those virtual machines reside on this failover test data store in Nfina-View. If I go back to vSphere, you can confirm that failover test 1 through 4 as well as space test reside on that particular data store. The planned failover would be utilized, let's say, in the event that you proactively want to move your virtual machines from one location to another. The location we're going to be moving to is actually off-site in a completely different location, and we're going to failover to this host here that's in vCenter, this 233 host. It's a disaster recovery site. So when would you use this? Well, it might be if a hurricane is coming, or you want to move the VMs to run somewhere else temporarily while you reconfigure the system, something of that nature. To actually perform the failover, it's pretty simple. You'll go into your Nfina-View interface. If the nodes are in a cluster, then the failover is going to be located at the cluster level, which is represented by this edge cloud hosting with the 2 server icon shown here. You go to the Failover tab, and you find the volume that you want to actually failover. Now, the failover is on the volume level, so any virtual machines that reside on that given volume will actually get moved to the off-site location. To perform the failover, just select the volume, choose Failover, and that's going to bring up our failover menu. So there's a couple of choices here. It's going to populate automatically with where it's actually replicating to. In this case, we're only replicating to one location, so that's the only choice. But you do have the ability to replicate to multiple locations. So if you had multiple locations, you would need to select which location you actually wanted to failover to. I have a target choice, which is the iSCSI target that we're attaching the volume to on the destination side, and the source replication VIP is what IP address we want to use to replicate back. Once we failover, it will immediately set up replication back to the original system. In this case, I'm going to use the system IP, and that will allow it to immediately start replicating back. The host options here is where you want the VMs to run in the remote location, and that will be the 2.233 node over here on the left. So with that, I'll go ahead and click Failover. It will bring up this next menu. This is where you have some flexibility to either power on or not power on the VMs, or you can even not register them. It's going to come by default in the state that they're currently in. So if they're currently powered on, power on is going to be checked. If they're currently registered, then registrations will be checked here. You also have the ability to skip VM failover altogether. That will not do any automation around VMs. Or you can click the Skip VM Power On, and that's just going to clear the checkboxes en masse here. I'm going to leave it as default and go ahead and click Failover. So at that point, it's starting the failover process. It's going to shut those virtual machines down. It's going to unregister them and begin the failover process. You can see in vCenter, it's unmounted this data store from both of these hosts on the source side, which means it's now moved to inaccessible here on the source side. In Nfina-View, let's check to make sure that any changes have been replicated across that may have occurred during the shutdown. That includes any logging or any data that was written up until the point that the virtual machines were actually shut down. Looks like those changes were replicated across, So what it's going to do now is begin to bring the volume up on the destination side. As soon as the volume is brought up on the destination side, it will immediately go ahead and begin replication back down to the source side, even before the virtual machines are brought online here. You can see at this point it registered the VMs and powered them on. You can see our failover test is now mounted here in the destination location, and they are now running in the destination location. Now, if I come over to the destination node, inside of Nfina-View, it failed over to this node. This is the storage node. You can go to Failover and see that this DR volume now has these VMs running on here. Now, if you want to fail back to the original host whenever you've reconfigured or the environmental disaster such as a hurricane or something has passed, you will be able to come back and click Failover, and that would allow you to fail back to the primary location where it started. That's all I have for today. I hope you found this demo useful and you'll check out more of our demo videos on our site.